Hello. This video builds on the previous videos we did about Lewin's equation, the lead, follow, act, react cycles, and the results pyramid. This one's going to be a little bit longer, so stick with me. It's really worth your time. And we'll talk about how managers and their reports are in a leader-follower relationship and ways that that relationship can look and how that look influences how people behave. So the leader-follower relationship can be mapped along the spectrum. And I've got some diagrams here behind me that represent 4 waypoints along that leader-follower spectrum. I developed this years ago as a way to support managers as they were going through an agile transformation and learning and figuring out how they can behave going forward compared to the way they were before. Now, this was part of an agile transformation, but it can apply in any situation because this leader-follower dynamic exists whether you're doing agile or not. So if we get back to these 4 waypoints on the leader-follower spectrum, we'll be looking at each of these diagrams as a way to remind us of these different waypoints along the spectrum. So the first one on the extreme of this spectrum is what I call a supervisor commands laborers dynamic. These are not labels of people. We're not calling somebody a laborer, or we're not calling somebody a supervisor. These are descriptions of behavior, not labels of people. So a leader that supervises maintains themselves in the center of the dynamic, and the followers behave as laborers, meaning they do what they're told, and then they ask, or maybe even just wait for the next thing they should do. So they can be idle. They're not seeking out to find new ways of working. They're seeking to comply with what the leader supervisor is asking them to do. This dynamic, like all the other 3 we'll talk about, are not necessarily evil. There can be situations where this dynamic is completely appropriate. So we're not talking good or bad here. We're talking about results and performance and what's appropriate. So this is the supervisor commands laborers dynamic. Next is the coordinator delegates agents. Here the leader is providing followers with some boundaried power. I will delegate this work to you. Please do this work in these boundaries of power. And in fact, some people take delegation so far that they follow up and check in and lead in a way that says, you will do this the way I would if I were doing it myself. And because of that possible dynamic, then we call the follower as an agent. So the leader is being a coordinator. They're coordinating the different agents. They're coordinating the different work that they have delegated to these different agents. And the agents then come back to the leader to make sure they're doing the work correctly. So in this dynamic, followers may find that any actions they take outside of the delegated tasks or delegated project or program or whatever container that is, that they're not encouraged to do anything outside of that. The next dynamic I call the steward empowers professionals. A steward is somebody who takes care of something. They don't own it per se. They are not the owner of, for example, a steward of an estate is not the owner of the state, but they are charged with taking care of the state and making sure it stays well and works well, etc. So a steward leader will expect their followers to tap into their expertise and bring their skill to solving problems. The steward leader will present needs to the group and then ask, what do you need from me to make this work or to have this solved? And so they support the group and support their followers through query, asking what they need, and by observing where gaps might exist. But they expect the followers to behave as professionals. That means that they will make and keep, they will set up expectations and maintain and meet those expectations. They can be counted on to work their best and to bring up problems or impediments that they might have. This is the steward empowers professionals dynamic. The other end of the last end of the spectrum that I have here is the dynamic of catalyst inspires co-leaders. And I think a catalyst is beyond empowerment. In other words, a catalyst is seeking to inspire the people that follow them for them to step up and step fully into ownership, step fully even into leadership, co-leading with the designated leader to create solutions. They are expected to reach outside of their peer group and themselves to find ways to make things better and to lead ways within their group or outside to make things better and improve things tremendously. So this is the leader providing the vision and guidance while the follower are using their full ideas and expertise to make progress and create something great. As stated, these 4 different waypoints exist along the spectrum. I call them waypoints because they aren't the only points along the spectrum. There are places in between, or there are places where a coordinator is almost a steward, or a professional is, an agent is almost professional, or vice versa. So don't think of these as states that you move from directly, but there are waypoints along the spectrum. I see the spectrum as increasing self-organization, that the group can self-organize more and more, and that self-organization and the way they behave with each other can increase performance. To directly mention Agile ways of working, the Agile Manifesto and its principles, in my opinion, assume steward empowers professionals as a baseline. This is most represented by principle number 5 of the Agile Manifesto, that states build projects around motivated individuals, give them the environment and support they need, and trust them to get the job done. So Agile kind of assumes that you're at this steward empowers professionals level. Now, if you're not there, then you need to work to get there. Or Agile ways of working and other empowerment and leadership type ways of working with a whole team are not going to work out. Now, that's something for a deeper discussion later, another time. But let me give you a couple examples of how leaders and followers influence each other along the spectrum. For example, you might be a manager who is behaving and strives to behave as a steward. You want to empower your followers to be professionals and to use their full skills and expertise to go after problems that maybe you didn't even know about and create solutions for those problems. However, you might find that that is not working, that you're expecting your followers to lead out and step up and highlight when things have impediments, etc. But maybe your followers as a whole are behaving as laborers. Maybe they desire or they're used to being told what to do. And so they do what they're told and then wait, or maybe at best ask, what's the next thing I should work on? So you, as the manager leader, even though you want to be a steward and empower them, you find that you have to be a supervisor in these cases if your people are consistently asking what to do next. If you're not a manager and you find yourself asking what to do next, and you're tired of being told what to do, it could be that you're influencing your managers and your environments around you to tell you what to do. So you are influencing that state. Another one, trying to be real quick about it, maybe you're a director of product and you report to the VP of product, and you strive to be a steward of professionals. The product managers that you manage, that you lead, they are professionals, and they, for the most part, step up and tell you about impediments and ask you for support, and you provide supports and stuff for them. But you, as director of product, report to the VP of product. And it might be that now you're the follower in the relationship, and it could be that your VP of product is a coordinator, that they tend to delegate and expect you to stay within the boundaries of what you're delegated to do. Even if you have good ideas about other areas of the product or other ways of doing things within the product group, it could be that your VP of product is holding those kinds of decisions to himself and then only delegating to you as an agent when needed. So you see how you pull each other, if you leader or follower, pull each other up and down this spectrum. This has been a long video already, so I'll stop here and say that in the next video, we're going to dig a little more into, we won't be as long, but we'll dig more into the dynamic of each of these waypoints on the leader-follower spectrum, and even talk about ways that you can help your followers or help your leader shift the appropriate direction on the spectrum.